Daily Broadside, day 474. I twisted my ankle something fierce yesterday, coming off a step that was a little taller than I thought it was. And I gotta tell you, this clutch feels awesome. It feels so good this morning. God, if I didn't wake up in pain, I wouldn't know I was alive most days, you know? I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Deliverance, kind of a popular film. I think they made it for like 2 or 3 million, and it made like 50 million. So I mean, it's been around, right? 1972. I think it was Ned Beatty and definitely Ronnie Cox's first film. Oh, that feels good. And the great John Boyd, Burt Reynolds in a phenomenal role. 1972. It comes out, and it's basically about, if you haven't seen it, 4 businessmen that leave the city to go out in the country and in Georgia, rural Georgia, and canoe down this river before they dam it up and it's lost forever, you know. And I could just see like them pitching this movie, you know. It's based on a book, you know, it was adapted from a book and all this, and they get the screenplay and they're pitching it to the film studio, and they're like, you know, it's about 4 buddies, you know, that 2 of them aren't as you know, skilled in the outdoors, and so they're a little bit more city boy, and you know, a little less gung-ho about what they're doing. But they got out on the river and it's beautiful, and they get to see nature and commune with it, and you know, there's male bonding, and they all get along, and they're just laughing and joking and having a good time, and they get to see a side of the world they've never seen before. And then one of them's anally raped, and they go in, and the guy's like, what was the last part there? He's like, oh, one of them gets anally raped. And you're like, why does he get anally raped? They were having such a good time. He's like, oh, well, the town folk, you know, they corner him on the side of the river and anally rape one of them. And you're like, is that in the book? You know, and all this, and you know, they go through this, and it still got made. And we're talking 1972. I don't think there was a lot of anal rape from the movies I've seen pre-72. And it's kind of like the first time you see Pulp Fiction. I think that came out in like 93, 95, somewhere around there. I think I was in college. I'm watching Pulp Fiction. Oh, it's a pretty cool movie. I like the, what is it called? The storylines where they just keep mixing it up and all. And I'd already seen Reservoir Dogs, so I was kind of familiar with it. And so I'm watching Pulp Fiction. I'm like, oh, this is cool. And then you get to that Gimp scene, and you're like, this really got dark, you know. And it's I imagine that's what that was like in 1972, is people basically watched Ned Beatty and Ving Rhames should do like an anal rape movie together, you know, where they just both get anally raped, and but they don't mention Pulp Fiction or Deliverance. It's just assumed, wait, is Ned Beatty dead? I think Ned Beatty may be dead, so he may need to be cast differently in that role for anal rape number 1. And Ving Rhames can do anal rape number 2. Anyway, I was watching something. I was taking a quiz last night. I was watching that thing, and the Carpenters popped up. And I just thought to myself, man, these dudes were brother and sister. Not unlike the White Stripes. I don't know if they're really brother and sister, but they, one of them's a drummer, one of them's was it a keyboard player? Yeah, I think the other one played the piano. And I thought to myself, I got a sister. I don't have her phone number. Like, if my parents died today, I don't know how I'm getting in touch with her. She's somewhere in Georgia. That's all I know. I haven't talked to her in years. Like, it's a long story, but you know, I just feel like an only child. I always have. And but that's kind of the relationship I have. And they're out there putting a band together, and I was like, wow, that's a vast difference between That's a vast difference between how that family goes to get together and gets along, and how mine does. But anyway, I'm trying to remember her name. I'm kidding, I know her name, I think. Anyway, I'm amused at this cocaine that they found in the White House. I'm not amused about the fact that there's cocaine in the White House, because you talk about like just a storied building with so much history and everything, and now that there's illicit narcotics in it. How far we've come. How far we've fallen, I should say. But more to the point, I love the fact that they're like, oh, this might be an unsolvable crime and all this. And I'm like, it's like one of the most guarded buildings on planet Earth, you know? I mean, you could go to NORAD and have an easier time of dropping a little bag of cocaine somewhere and nobody picking up with it on the cameras and all. But I find it very difficult to believe that there's not enough cameras in the West Wing to discern who might have had the nose candy left in the wherever the heck they were. But I've also heard it talked about that they're going to make Kamala be the fall guy. And you see her press conference when they indict her for possession of cocaine, you know, and she's just laughing hysterically like she does. It's very unsettling the way she laughs. But at everything, by the way. Here's my husband, the first gentleman. And she starts laughing. You're like, what are you laughing at? Like, no. And then everybody else is like awkwardly laughing. It's an odd thing. But anyway, I think it would be funny if they made her the fall guy because it was really Hunter's cocaine and they can't have Hunter have any more bruises on him. So they're just like, it's the job of the vice president to take one for the team, and she's got to take a dive and get a cocaine. Could you imagine the vice president being charged with cocaine, whether it was theirs or not? That's pretty funny. Anyway, giddy up.